Hey guys and gals, welcome back to episode 1 of Andrew-Unfiltered. In this episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about anxiety. Anxiety is a feeling of fear, dread, or uneasiness. Symptoms can usually range from sweaty palms, feeling restless, unable to sleep, rapid heartbeat. I have anxiety right now, even though I'm talking to myself in a camera. My heartbeat's probably about 110 RPMs at the moment. Well, RPMs, heartbeats per minute. I'm in a car. I'm human. I try to enjoy opening up about my anxiety. It's even though it is a normal reaction for stress, but anxiety can actually control and take over one's life. It can cloud your mind. It can make you make bad decisions. It can put you on edge. You can be easily fatigued. Concentrating is a big one for me. I work for a big aeronautics company, and usually when I have big meetings, even though I know the crowd, I have problems talking to them. I don't think anybody's against me. It's just having to stand up and speak, and it makes me uneasy because my mind starts racing, and I think people are actually talking about me when they're not. So this mental illness, plagues probably about 75% of America, and probably maybe more or less. I don't know the details of the world, but anxiety is a big mental illness out there, especially with veterans. My anxiety stemmed from the Marine Corps. I grew up in the Marine Corps in the 90s, so I joined boot camp in 96, got to the fleet probably late 96, and that was an era where Lance Corporals ran everything. And when I got to the fleet, I was a PFC. And, I remember times we're standing in line at the armory trying to pick up a weapon. The sergeant would just come around and just make you do push-ups just for no reason, just because he could. I'm not going to say it's like today's Marine Corps, but the Marine Corps in the 90s was rough. I'm sure it was even rougher in the previous years. I remember times where I would walk out of my barracks and there was a sergeant just standing there looking for anybody and everybody just to make you push because he could. And that trauma kind of stayed with me, being 17 years old, going into the military, not having any type of structure or people in my face yelling at me at all times. So most of my Marine Corps trauma, we'll go through, tell some stories, but a lot of it stems from the early 90 era Marine Corps, when hazing was allowed. It took me, I think, 8 years to pick up sergeant because promotions were so far, they weren't given out, pretty much. A most recent story for me was during my retirement. Retirements are supposed to be this glorious celebration of completing a milestone in the military. Since I did 20 years, retired as a gunnery sergeant, I feel that even though my family, my wife, my kids, my mother, my father, my in-laws were there, I got up and started rambling about absolutely nothing. Anxiety was taking hold. You see these cartoons of monsters wrapping their hands around you. That's what it felt like for me. I remember giving this speech, looking over at the military side, seeing my sergeant major looking like he was annoyed with life, like, why are we here for Andrew's retirement? The Marines, it was 16:30 on a Friday. Everybody wanted to go home, but all I wanted to do was retire. We just spent the last 7 days during a phasmo inspection, and all I wanted to do was get out there. So the story was, I thanked everybody that I didn't like, because that's what I thought that what was needed of me. But what I forgot was to thank the Marines that were under my charge. My guys, you know, they came to me and they says, you didn't give, you know, when we were over with, they said, you didn't thank us. And anxiety took over and I completely forgot about them. So a sincere apology to those guys. But at that time, I didn't know I had a mental illness. Blatantly forgot about my people. And it still haunts me to this day. I'm anxious right now. I even though I'm just talking to the camera, as I stated, you know, but it's I'm not going to go into more stories, but it has taken a complete foothold of my life. And in 2016, I didn't recognize that when I retired, I didn't recognize that I had a mental illness. I didn't recognize any of the flags that stated, hey, Andrew, you have a mental illness. And anxiety was the big one. And so it took 4 years for finally me to seek help. I went to the VA. I talked to some very good people on my mental illness. You know, I think I wanted to make my psychiatrist cry at the times when I was telling her my story. And it made me think, you know, why am I so irritable all the time? Why do I yell at my kids when they've done nothing but be there for me? You know, why do I clam up and want to be by myself? You know, it was anxiety. So it was clinically diagnosed that I had severe anxiety. So they gave me some medication. Again, I'm not going to give you names of medication. Help me get my story out there. Maybe you could follow the path that I've taken. But they gave me some good medication. And I'm not going to say medication is the end-all be-all. But it took my anxiety from 100 to 50. And I was able to breathe, think clearly, do my job. But I still have, you know, panic attacks maybe 2 to 3 times a day. You know, they would talk about going through some breathing techniques, taking mental breaks. And when I say a mental break, it means get up from your computer, go take a walk down the hallway, go check the mail. But it really gave me some tools that I was very interested in. You know, I wasn't open up to go sitting around talking to a bunch of veterans about anxiety, because even though it's good to open up, you know, I felt that, you know, these are the same people who have the same issues. I'm only telling them issues that I have, and there was nothing that I felt was getting resolved. So, short story, I did some research. On the medication that they gave me, and I'll tell you that the medication, again, took my anxiety from 100 to 50, and it allowed me to cope. You know, I think the next episode I'll try to talk about sleeping. I used to be an insomniac. I used to thrive off 2 to 1 hours of sleep, because anxiety would just take over my mind, and it would just prevent me from sleeping. But eventually I've gotten to the point where I can actually get a good 5-6 hours of sleep, wake up refreshed. So again, this is my first episode. My anxiety level right now is probably through the roof. So as we talk more and more about my mental health, my mental illness, I'll start feeling like this is a path that I want to achieve. But again, I want to take my journey on anxiety, and I'll probably expound on it a little more through in more episodes as I talk about different other factors like sleep insomnia, suicide, death, and PTSD, and what I've done to, try to create these tools that could possibly, help me function as a 43-year-old parent dealing with the outside. When I say outside, dealing with post-military life. And we'll continue this journey in another episode 2. I don't want to keep these videos long because if you're like me, you have a attention span of a gnat. So I'm hoping these videos will help you understand that you're not alone. Mental illness is an illness that is identified, but we need to come together as a band of brothers and sisters and help each other out on this journey. So if you like these videos, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that bell for the next video drop. With that being said, till next episode, Semper Fi, brothers and sisters, and we'll talk then.